I'm going to template it again so I can't select the mesh because I don't need to deal with the mesh anymore. Do-do, do-do. I'm also going to go in. I'm going to select all the skeleton bits and get rid of any animation because we just needed it to test. We don't need it to hang around. Alright. So what we're going to do now is add IK to things and controllers. And so IK, many of you probably know what it is because you've worked with models before. But it's a way, it's a modifier that you can put on something and it affects the entire bone string rather than just the bone. So FK, right, I have to move this bone, then move this bone, then move this bone. That's FK. IK, which is right here, it looks like a bone with a rubber band on it, and you should think about it like that. If I click on the top bone here, oh wait, so there's a bug in this version of Maya where we have to turn off locators, I think it is, and then Maya actually works. Is it locators? It's not. Oh God, what is it? It's
Professor, is this version of the Eve mesh in the Google Drive or?
oh, did I not save it? Hold on a second. Let me save it then. 1 second. So now what we're going to do is put an IK handle on that. Remember, we have to go in here, and we need to take turn off pivots in order to be able to apply a IK handle in Maya at this point because it's broken. So we come up here, select IK tool. We click on the hip, which will be the top of our IK, our anchor for our IK handle, and then I want it to move the ankle, which is this. So
Hey, Professor, where's the IK tool?
the IK tool is right here in rigging.
Okay,
If
thank you.
the rigging tab, this is the joint ones that created bones, and then this is called IK here. Okay, so now I've got, you can see here if you look, I've got IK handles on both the legs. And so now if I grab the waist, oops. So now if I grab both of those handles, you can see it moves her legs up. And it moves everything, it moves all the joints up into that one point. So this is the anchor point. It's not going to move the joints above this. It's only going to move the joints below it. So as you can see, these things here, I'm grabbing them from the outliner. Usually you can see them in here. But because of this bug, they just aren't working super well. So we're going to make some control objects to make this a little easier to grab these. We would have done this anyways, but we're going to do it now, especially now because we can't see them to grab them. So I'm just going to create what's called a NURB circle. So if you go under here to curves and surfaces, grab the first one. This is a NURB circle, and I'm going to scale it up, and I'm going to make it kind of foot shaped. Unlike other objects, NURBS objects, you don't need to reset transforms on them. You just leave them as they are. And I'm going to call this one foot Cntrl L for foot control left. Copy it over, make one for the right foot, go in there and get rid of the L1 and turn that into an R for foot control right. So now I've got these two objects that I can use to control the feet, and you might recognize these from various models that you've gone and animated. Usually they look like boots or something. So now I'm going to take these IK handles and I'm going to rename this one instead of IK handle leg L, and I'm going to rename this one IK handle leg R, and I'm going to take IK handle leg R, which is that one, and I'm going to parent it, to that NURB circle. And so now, oh look, there it showed up. Now this NURB circle moves that thing. So anywhere I move this NURB circle, that IK handle goes with it. So I want to do the same with the other one. I'm going to grab IK handle left, shift select the mover object, and now that one goes with that. So now I can also grab her hips now, and you can see that as she goes down, wow, that's really kind of interesting that it's going that way. As she goes down to the ground, you can see that the legs kind of stay in place. But we need to do the same thing for the toes. So what we'd like to have happen is the toes stay on the ground as everything moves. We also, as she goes up in the air, we'd like the toes to leave the ground last. So I'm going to now create another IK handle, but I'm going to make it the opposite way. Instead of going from the hips down to the ankle, I'm going to go from the toes to the ankle. And this is called a reverse foot lock. And what it does is it means that the tip of the toe is going to control the IK for this object, meaning it will, so when the foot leaves, it'll theoretically stretch the foot out. So I'm just going to select the toe and then go to the ankle. And that's created a new handle. And so this one I'm going to call toes L. And I also want to parent that one to the mover object. So now if I use the mover object, it moves the toe and the ankle. And the benefit to this is that now if we move the body, the toe sticks to the ground. God, that looks really weird. But there you go. We might need to do some reskinning on this character. This model's a nightmare. But you can see how that works. With the toe, you can see there, and then the other foot, you can see this is what it looks like without. Okay, so now you want to create one for the other side of the foot. Go parent, doot. Oh, sorry. I want to select here. Oh, no, it created it. We're good. Okay, IK handle. Toes right. Parent that to the circle thingy. And now you can see she at least tries to point her toe, as stupid as that looks. Oh my god, why is that so stretched out and weird? It just means that whoever built the model, like, it looks okay here, but then once you try and move it, you're like, oh my god, she's got ginormous feet. So maybe this needed to be like way up here and stuff. Once again, the things you learn while modeling. And I thought I hammered that. Okay. Great. So now let's go ahead and save this file as Eve, and we're going to call this Eve IK. So does anybody have any questions about applying IK to to the character and what it does, and how to make that happen.
No questions from me.
Great. Anybody else having trouble with this, or everybody's pretty down with how this works? Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So what we'd like to do, because right now we can't move the characters unless we select this and this and this, and now we can move. Oops, sorry. We have to select the two movers and her hips in order to move her around. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another NURB circle, and this is going to be make it easier for us to access her hips. And so during this exercise, we're going to use multiple kinds of. I'm going to select the whatchamacallit, this here, the snap to point, so I can easily snap to the middle point of that bone system. Yeah, great. And then I'm going to call this hips. And now I want to take the root, the top of her skeleton, and I want to parent it to the hips. So now all I have to do is select this object and I can move her all around. Great. Now I want to select another object, another NURBS curve here on the bottom. I make this really big, and I want to give this directionality. And if you want, you can change the shape. If you can go in here, you can go edit points and select these edit points, and oops, edit points, and you can select these edit points and alter the shape. So that it's more fun. You make it whatever shape you want. Oh, I take that off. This never shows up or renders. It's good to have one with, I like trying to make an arrow out of it. So that I know which way she's going when I'm animating her. But you could leave it a circle. You really don't need to mess with it at all. So then I want to take all the circles we've created so far. The two legs, I'm going to parent those to the circle. And the hips, I'm going to parent that to the circle. And so this becomes, I'm going to rename this to mover object. And now if I want to move her in space, right, all that stuff is connected to her, I just have to move that mover object. If I want to scale it up, I just have to move that mover object. Don't ever do that. Don't ever scale the top of a hierarchy. It does so many bad things. Okay. So the last little bit we're going to do is we're going to create another NURBS object. And it creates them on the ground, remember, and I'm going to bring it up to the head. Make it bigger. Zoom in. I want this associated with the neck. And what I want to do is I can't parent this to this because this is part of a hierarchy already. And so what I want to do though is I want to have the orientation of this one follow the orientation of this one. So what I'm going to do is going to select this one, and then the parent first and then the child, and then I'm going to go constrain orient here. And then what this allows me to do is move this object, and wherever I move this object, this bone tries to stay oriented to it. So this essentially gives me control over the head. And you can use that anywhere where you'd like to control a bone. Like we could put them here at the elbow if we wanted to control the elbow bones without having to look at the bones. Like if we wanted to just have a control object, we can create one here, and then or have it orient to the as a control object. And so I'm going to rename this one head control. And so this object needs to travel with the body. So I'm going to parent it. Should be parented to the chest.
I need to get her for you.
So then when I move this, you can see the chest moves like it's supposed to. But then the head, this is still loose. It's a weird loophole loop. Alright, so the last thing I want to show you is how I'm going to put an IK here. Now, just so you guys know, I way prefer not having IK on the arms. I think having an IK on the arms is good for certain things, but most things I don't like having it. I think the arms are way more effective when you animate them using IK, or FK, sorry. But there are examples of like climbing up, hanging from stuff and climbing up a wall, or pulling on something where IK really helps out the arms quite a bit more. So we're going to put some IK on the arms here just because. So what you can do is the same thing we've done before. Select, we're going to go shoulder to wrist. And you can see here in the outliner it's made an IK handle, and now when we move the hand, the IK goes with it. What we'd also like to do is create another NURBS object. And I'm going to scale that up a little bit and move it so it's over there, and I want to rotate it. Bring it up so it's over the wrist. I kind of keep it small so that it doesn't really cause too much trouble. I want to make sure that it's hooked into that joint. It's the same pivot point as that joint. And so then what do? We take the IK handle. I'm going to call this, sorry, hand L. Oh, wait, before we do anything, let's duplicate this and put it on the other side. Otherwise, we're just going to have to make another one. I'll make sure to turn that off. Okay. IK handle, shift select P. Now this controls the IK. We can also select the wrist and this, and we can go control constrain orient. Mucked it up too much. The IK and the FK fight. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, so don't constrain orient it. We need. We'll work that out later. I'm not sure what's going on, but I don't want to fight with it. Look how beautiful that works. Great. So let's do the other side. Make sure that that's locked in there. Hand right. Take that IK handle, parent it to that. Great, and now that one works just fine. So we also need to take these two handles and parent them to the chest. Because once again, we want them moving, like if I move this with the chest, we want that handle going with. So right now I have that one handle attached to the chest, but the other one doesn't. So now when I spin the chest, the IK doesn't go with it. So we want to parent that to the chest. Now there'll be times actually where you don't want this. You'd want your IK free and happy, and we'll work on that another time because we are seriously out of time. Where you want to be able to leave a hand in space and have it not be controlled by the entire body.
Where were we supposed to constrain? Well, which joint were we supposed to constrain the head control to?
So the head is orient constrained to the oh, you mean where you're supposed to parent this one to? The ring?
Oh no, like the constrain part. Yeah.
Okay, so when you, to constrain the
Did
head.
you just do that again? I need help on that too.
Yeah, you know it's backwards from the other way. So when you're parenting is a constraint as well. So if you look up here in constraints, you can see that parent is very much one of those. So orient constraint's really wacky, where in order to orient constraint, for some reason they programmed it backwards. So you select the object you want to control first, and then you select the child. And then you go constrain orient. And then this I parented to the chest bone. All my modifiers are parented to the chest bone.
When I constrained it, it like turned the head like upside down.
Oh, that's weird. With an orient constraint?
Yeah.
Did you do it backwards?
I selected this NURBS first and then the head bone.
That should be how it works. Weird. You didn't parent it, did you? It's orient constraint, not a parent constraint.
Yeah, I constrain orient.
Huh. All right, so let's look. I don't know what's going on with that. But if you look in here, do you have it set like I do? Object, Y.
NURBS plane options. Where'd you go?
Oh, sorry. Constrain orient.
Maintain offset was off for me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Set layer to override was on.
turn maintain offset off, because it'll try and when you maintain offset, right, it's whatever position this bone happens to be in at the time that you connect it, that becomes its home space. But if you may have maintain offset off, then it'll try and match the circle. So if your circle,
Okay.
if the XYZ of this is like blue forward, red out, and yellow up, but the circle is blue sideways, yellow up, just because of the way you created it, then it'll give you some cranky issues.
Okay. And then also, do you parent the NURBS object to the chest, right?
Yes.
After that. Okay.
I parented this object and this object. And this object to the chest. But like I said, there are different ways of doing it. And you might want to unparent the arm objects. Say, for instance, if you were if we were oh, weird. Whatchamacallit? For instance, if we were climbing a cliff, I would detach these from that and then put them on the cliff so that she could climb the cliff. So her arms would be where they're supposed to be. So like if I take both of these and I go edit on parent and then move these down, you can see they try and stay where they are. See how they do their best to try and stay in spot. But then when you move the entire body, you need to move those manually with it, because they're trying to stay. She's trying to stay there. That's what IK is really good for, is that sort of stuff. And just so you guys don't get confused, when you when you animate this, right, it doesn't care what's parented to what when you animate it. And when you export the information on the skeleton to a game, it doesn't care what's parented to what, because all it's ever doing when you're dealing with the data, right, the bottom line of rigging is that, see these purple ones? Every time we move anything anywhere, these purple ones record rotational information. And it's that rotational information only, like how this bone rotates in comparison to this one. That's all the information that matters on anything. Like all these rings and stuff is just to help you control the object. It's not part of what the thing needs in order to function. It's just a visual aid for yourself. So you can parent whatever you want to whatever you want if that makes it easier for you. Like if I were having her climb a cliff, I keep bringing up that example, and I had a polygon here, right, that was my cliff. And I wanted her to climb the cliff. I can take this object and her hand mover object and put it there, and I could actually parent it to that object if I wanted to, so that when I'm animating her, it tries to stay in that one spot as best it can. Choo. All right, let me go back because I didn't save this. That's not like me. Everything back. Great. Okay, so that's our first level of helper object rigging, and there's a lot more stuff we can do to make her work, but I'd like you to get it this far if possible. I'll put the video up as soon as I can. It's only a half hour, so that's great.